Thank you for your interest in standards-based grading at Salem Junior High School. We have a goal and mission to prepare young people to be strong in all aspects of their lives. We strive to cultivate an atmosphere of academic excellence, respect, and sense of community. We value innovative ideas and make decisions that help ensure students' learning and success. To provide multiple opportunities for students to be actively engaged both in and out of the classroom. So in this video, we would like to explain a few things about standards-based grading. First, we'd like to begin by answering the question, what is standards-based grading? It is communicating a student's proficiency levels on specific learning goals for each course's standards and objectives, and not a percentage of completed work. Each standard comes from the Utah State Core. It's the collaborative process that helps teachers present the core. A commonly asked question when we talk about standards-based grading is, how is the role of assessment different in a standards-based grading model? Well, in the traditional model of student grading, assessments are used as a tool to get points into the gradebook. In standards-based grading systems, assessments are used to measure students' learning and current knowledge and skills of specific learning goals to help identify students who need additional support. So the why of standard-based grading. At Salem Junior High, we wanted a grade to mean something. There was little evidence that supports traditional grading, and we found out that traditional grading scales were actually designed to track programs, determine scholarships, and pick a valedictorian. So here, Salem Junior High has been doing standards-based grading for about 4 years, and we use the collaborative process to help guide in that endeavor. We identify learning areas of strength and need. So rather than, what does a score mean? The question is now, what's the next step? Standards-based grading improves communication and feedback for everyone, parents, teachers, and students. It also changes the reteach and enrich by teachers. They use that time to help students based on the student learning. We also know what students know and what standards they know and where they need improvement, and those they have mastered. It also shifts the discussion from what am I missing to what learning do I need to master. Shouldn't effort, work completion, and homework be taken into account when given a student's grade? These things are very important, but doing these things are behaviors. So we include classwork and homework in the grade only nominally, as we see this as the practice needed to demonstrate learning. Logic would say if you don't practice or do your schoolwork, you would not perform or do well on the assessment. So here's the what of standards-based grading. First, the traditional grading system throws out grades like A, B, C, D, and F. And oftentimes we find ourselves asking the question, did my student get an A because they know what is being taught in class? Or did they turn everything in on time? Did they get a B because maybe they didn't know as well as others, but they behaved well in class? Did they get a C because they know some things and they just weren't very lazy? Did they get an F because they didn't complete assignments, or maybe they just missed too many days of class? Well, here at Salem Junior, we would like to change the conversation from what does that mean to here is what we know. For example, a student to receive an A or a 4 shows that they can demonstrate mastery of a concept and or apply their knowledge. If they want to get a B, then they would have to earn a 3 and show that they have proficiency. A 2 says that they're lacking some proficiency in key areas, which would mean they'd only earn a C. A 1 shows minimal understanding of the concept, but they need a considerable amount of support in order to get their D. A 0 shows less than minimal understanding of the concept, therefore indicating that the student will receive an F, because there's no indication of progress. So how will students receive feedback beyond a score in a standards-based grading system? Well, standards-based grading requires that all teachers and students at Salem Jr. operate on a consistent scale that defines what proficiency, 1 through 4, means. So this makes feedback targeted. For example, you received a 2 because you could not identify some of the major documents or events that help frame the writing of the Constitution. In order to get a 3, you need to provide more examples. In order to get a 4, you need to explain how they influence the framing. Some ask, won't this create grade inflation with such a large range? It should create the opposite. Getting an A will require that each student demonstrate mastery and application for every learning goal in each unit of study. Students will have to show improved learning to improve their grade. So how do we determine a student's proficiency level? Teachers will determine a student's proficiency using common assessments that are collaboratively created by each professional learning group. Teachers will also use formative assessments, class observations, interactions with students, and other evidence to establish a student's proficiency. Proficiencies are a work in progress, knowing that time is a variable in learning of knowledge and skills rather than becoming the constant. Thomas Gudsky, an expert in education improvement, said only when such examination and reasoned judgment become a regular part of the grading process can we make accurate and valid decisions about the quality of student performance. So our purpose here at Salem Junior High is, number 1, communicate what students have learned. Help identify students in need of help. Demonstrate mastery of knowledge and skills, and evaluate the effectiveness of instruction. Thank you, and hopefully this helps you understand a little bit more about standards-based grading.